Welcome to the Anime Audiophile Podcast. Please like and subscribe for more. Thank you. Demon Slayer, the Flower of Happiness. Chapter 5. Junior High and High School Tales of Kimetsu Academy. Kimetsu Academy Junior High and High School was an utterly average school beloved by the residents of Kimetsu. It wasn't particularly academic, nor was it a school for delinquents. The school was decidedly not average in just one way. For some reason, the place was full of problem students. You want to quit the disciplinary committee? Yeah. Zenitsu nodded glumly after sharing his heartfelt feelings with Tanjiro behind the school building at lunch. Once again, he had carried out the morning uniform check at this problem academy, and now he was the human equivalent of a wrung-out rag. Whether it was inosuke hashira, the boy who caused a stir in the media for being raised by wild boars rather than wolves, shirt buttons undone, bare feet, no bag other than his lunch, or the volleyball team. Captain Susumaru, always carrying a metal Kamari ball, or the scariest bleached blonde Yumi, hates ugliness, uniform modification, also. Sexy, or her older brother, extremely hot for his sister in way strong at fighting, they had all absurdly roughed up Zenitsu, and now both his mind and body were a ragged mess. I just can't anymore. I never even wanted to do this to begin with. They just went and decided on the committee members on a day I happened to be out from school. Zenitsu sniffled. I mean, me being on the disciplinary committee at this school, there's just no way. I mean, ever. It just won't work. I think you're a good fit for the committee, though, Tanjiro remarked, lowering his eyebrows in concern. You're always so nice and all. I mean, come on, you even overlooked these earrings that were a keepsake of my father. Tanjiro was just that kind-hearted of a friend, but Zenitsu glared in. Return. Then you do it. You be on the disciplinary committee instead of me. I have to help out at the bakery in the mornings, though. Tanjiro's family owned a popular bakery and baked about 1,000 buns and loaves every morning. Not many knew that Tanjiro himself preferred rice to bread and ate a traditional Japanese breakfast every day. Incidentally, his younger sister Nezuko Kamado was not only a great beauty, but also always had a baguette in her mouth. Because of that, people would whisper, if you bump into someone at the corner where Kamado's is, you'll receive a blessing, the shoujo manga-esque experience of running into a beautiful girl with bread in her mouth. No one had achieved that dream thus far, however. The onus lay with a certain person who burned with such one-sided passion for Nezuko that he watched over her from behind an electrical pole, whether she was going to or coming home from school. Normally a pathetic weakling, Zenitsu demonstrated demon-like strength when it came to Nezuko Kamado. At least help me quit the disciplinary committee. Zenitsu begged. Can't you just tell Mr. Tomioka you're quitting? Tanjiro asked naively. Zenitsu made a face like there was nothing more distasteful to him in this world. There's no way he'll actually listen to me. Every time I try to tell him I'm quitting, he yells about how I'm supposed to dye my hair black and punches me. I mean, is he even for real? Tomioka, gym teacher and faculty advisor to the disciplinary committee, was always exceedingly sullen and grumpy, and because he was faster with his fists than his words, the majority of students were afraid of him, outside of Tanjiro and an exclusive few. Countless PTA meetings had been held with the Tomioka problem taking up the entire agenda, to the point where the group had transformed from the Parent-Teacher Association into something more like the Parent-Tomioka Association. The man himself was probably clueless and had only the vaguest sense that he was in danger of dismissal. There was a rumor that he'd rescued and adopted a kitten he found on a rainy day, so maybe he was a surprisingly good guy. But the veracity of this was far from certain, and it didn't lead to any real improvement in his reputation. But, I mean, you have to go through Mr. Tomioka dash. I told you. I've tried so many times. Zenitsu shouted in annoyance. I keep telling him, but he won't listen to me. That guy hits me every time I talk to him. Even if I just go near him to talk, he hits me. Come on. What the heck? This guy. How is he even a teacher? Tomio. Zenitsu? Tanjiro cried. Just saying Tomioka's name made Zenitsu almost vomit. He had developed a Tomioka allergy at long last. He was at a loss to discover that the darkness in his heart was indeed so black. Perhaps realizing the true seriousness of the issue, Tanjiro said, "Okay. How about this, Zenitsu? We'll go talk to Mr. Tomioka when he's in a good mood. I'll come with you." When he's in a good mood? Zenitsu frowned. Is he ever? Maybe on paydays? Or casual Friday? Or a day when he had a date? Wait. Did he even have someone to go out with? Whatever it was, Zenitsu couldn't begin to imagine Tomioka in a good mood. He didn't even want to, actually. He shook his head and tried to shake these thoughts away. Salmon and daikon, Tanjiro announced crisply. Zenitsu said. Mr. Tomioka loves salmon stewed with daikon. What? How do you know that? You're kind of scary. The truth is, Mr. Tomioka's been a regular at our bakery since before I started at this school. Tanjiro had just happened to overhear a conversation between him and another regular. According to the information he had obtained there, I guess he smiles just a bit when he's eating salmon with daikon. But only then. Creepy. He smiles? Zenitsu let out an exaggerated shudder. That man can smile? Listen, Zenitsu, Tanjiro said patiently. Mr. Tomioka has the fish every day in the cafeteria. And today, the main dish is. No way. Finally serious, Zenitsu stared at Tanjiro. His classmate nodded firmly. Salmon stewed with daikon. Tanjiro. Zenitsu embraced Tanjiro triumphantly, overwhelmed with emotion. Tears streamed down his face. You really are a true friend. Ow, Zenitsu. Now that that's settled, let's get to the cafeteria already. Zenitsu urged his friend. They headed to the dining hall in high spirits. Tomioka was sitting alone at a table near the window. The day's fish dish sat on the tray in front of him. Zenitsu and Tanjiro stood exactly diagonally behind Tomioka, so they couldn't see his face, but the look on it had to have been an expression of never-before-seen bliss. Tanjiro nodded silently, and Zenitsu returned the nod. He walked over to Tomioka's side and managed to shout without vomiting, Mr. Tomioka. I need to talk to you. Tomioka looked over his shoulder. Agatsuma. I'm quitting the discus dash. When are you going to dye your hair black? Before Zenitsu could finish his sentence, a straight right landed on his cheek at unprecedented speed. There wasn't a hint of the joy of salmon stewed with daikon in this punch. In fact, the look on Tomioka's face spoke more of hatred or a deep-seated resentment. You're setting a bad example as a member of the disciplinary committee. Go and dye it black right now, his teacher ordered him. Coldly. Zenitsu crumpled to the ground soundlessly. Why? Ow! Doesn't stewed salmon and daikon mean smiles? He asked himself, his mind hazy. Feeling disconnected, he saw Tanjiro racing over to him and the tray that Tomioka had been eating from. Unfortunately, what was in the dish with the wave pattern on the tray was not salmon stewed with daikon but... It can't be. Yellowtail with daikon? Of course. Resentment toward Tanjiro filled Zenitsu's heart as he lost consciousness. I really am so sorry, Zenitsu. I didn't know. Tanjiro bowed deeply when he came to pick Zenitsu up from the nurse's room after school. No. How could you have known? Zenitsu shook his head lifelessly in the bed. It's not your fault that the good salmon was suddenly replaced by yellowtail. If anything is to blame, it'd be my bad luck. Zenitsu, Tanjiro murmured. Zenitsu looked out the window, his gaze distant. Tanjiro furrowed his brow, pained, and then forced a cheerful smile onto his face. "Hey, Zenitsu? I've been thinking." "Huh?" Zenitsu didn't so much as glance at him. "Why don't you talk to a teacher besides Mr. Tomioka? A teacher besides Mr. Terp." "Him?" Zenitsu hurriedly replaced the name that nearly made him throw up. "Like who?" Tanjiro thought for a second. "Maybe the art teacher, Mr. Yuzui?" "Nope." Zenitsu shook his head, firmly. "A big fat nope to the game teacher. I hate him. I super seriously hate that guy." "Okay. Mr. Kyogai. The music teacher. Mr. Kyogai gets sick just looking at you, though." Tanjiro cocked his head to one side curiously, not a bit aware of how unimaginably tone-deaf he was, before he frowned and thought again. Then his face lit up. "I know! Mr. Rengoku. That's it!" Zenitsu cried, jumping down from the nurse's room bed. "Mr. Rengoku's so powerful a character, there's no way he'd lose out to Mr. T, the teacher. And he's a pretty good guy." Kaijiro Rengoku was a passionate teacher, a lover of history, and full of love for his students. Although he had a slight tendency not to listen to what people were saying, he was very popular with the students. He was far and away #1 on the surveyed list of favorite teachers at Kimetsu Academy. There may or may not have been some rather stalkerish opinions in that survey, like, "Those muscular arms bursting from the rolled-up sleeves of his button-up shirt slay me, and I want to be the pin on his necktie, and I hope he's always so young, hot, and strong." Given his youthful good looks, he was constantly being brought new potential marriage matches, and it must have been a bit of work to turn them all down. But where would Mr. Rengoku be at this time of day? Zenitsu wondered. Not in the teacher's room? Tanjiro replied. "If you're looking for Mr. Rengoku, he's in the library." "Wha?" At the sudden voice from the bed beside him, Zenitsu almost jumped out of his skin. The curtain between the beds slid back just a bit, and a boy with a grumpy look on his face poked his head out. "Oh. Hey there." Zenitsu bowed his head, somewhat freaked out. "I'm sorry. We were being loud," Tanjiro apologized sincerely. The grumpy look on the boy's face remained. "If you know that, then get out already. The thing I hate the most is people interfering in this precious time while I here alone and sense the aura of Ms. Tamayo working in the nurse's room through the curtain." He spat and yanked the curtain closed. Almost at the same time, the curtain on the other side of the bed was pulled open, and the school doctor, Ms. Tamayo, poked her head in. "Oh my, Agatsuma," she said softly. "You're awake. Wonderful. Why, yes. Thank you. You look better, but don't push yourself. Stay in bed for another half an hour, okay?" Tamayo smiled gently, face full of compassion. Meanwhile, he could sense a resentful hurry up and go coming. Loud and clear through the white curtain on the other side, with something approaching murderous thoughts. "I am all better now, so I'll be on my way." Zenitsu yelped. "Thank you so much." He and Tanjiro hurriedly thanked Ms. Tamayo and left the nurse's room like it was on fire. That had to have been Yashiro, master of the nurse's room. Having spent overwhelmingly more hours in the nurse's room than in the classroom, this student wouldn't allow anyone else to get near the place, even if they were seriously ill. No one at Kimetsu Academy knew what grade he was in, what class, or even how old he was. When they reached the library, the teacher in question was just coming out. Mr. Zenitsu started. "Oh ho! What's wrong?" "You need me, boys," the history teacher replied, with a charming and cheerful smile. In his arms, he held books with titles that seemed like stand-alone. Jokes, Go for it Bento Man, 365 Days of Super Tasty Bento to make kids rejoice. You ask him. But this is your thing, Zenitsu. Zenitsu and Tanjiro silently pushed each other to be the one to speak. Rengoku didn't notice the strange expressions on their faces. It wasn't so much that he was insensitive, he was just more of a big-picture kind of person and not the type to pick up on subtle cues. Left with no choice, Tanjiro said, I thought you lived at home. Mr. Rengoku? Are you actually married? No. I live with my mother, father, and little brother. I'm not married. What of it, young kamado? Do you make your own bento lunches? Tanjiro asked. Oh, these? Rengoku finally guessed what Tanjiro was getting at and flashed his snowy white teeth at them. My mother has been busy with work lately. I thought I would make my little brother's lunches for her. I know I can't make anything as good as she makes, but I wanted to at least cook something that would make Tanjiro happy. When they pulled back the curtain, the truth turned out to be nothing of consequence. In fact, this answer only made Rengoku even more likable. This was a departure from Tomioka, whose likability slipped downward every time anyone spoke to him. How about it? The history teacher asked. Are you boys interested in trying to make bento too? If you want, you can come to my house right now. And no, we just wanted to talk to you. Tanjiro was flustered at this casual invitation from their teacher. Right, zenitsu? Why yeah. That's right. The truth is, it's about Mr. Tomioka, Zenitsu started. Tomioka? You mean my colleague Ju Tomioka? Yes. I actually want to quit the disciplinary committee, but Mr. Tomioka won't listen to a word I say. Zenitsu told him about the incident in the cafeteria. Rengoku listened with an unusually serious look on his face. Salmon stew with daikon would be good too, he opined cheerfully. The combination of fish and vegetables is a healthy one, and not only that, daikon is in season. Seasonal food is healthy food. High nutritional value. Boys, we'll stop by the supermarket and then head to my house. Wait. Better to get daikon at the greengrocer. Salmon at the fishmonger. But that's not what we... I'll lend you both aprons. Don't worry about that. No. Zenitsu cried. Mr. Rengoku, salmon stew with daikon isn't really that great for bento, though, Tanjiro noted. If you don't make sure it's walled off in its own section, the rice will end up all soggy. Wait. Not you too. Zenitsu yelped, betrayal on his face. I see. Rengoku nodded thoughtfully. We'll have to make rice too. Main dishes alone are unbalanced. What about cooking the rice with some vegetables? Tanjiro suggested. Great idea, the history teacher cried. Okay. We'll stop by the rice shop. No, but that's not Zenitsu protested. Don't be shy. Establishing lines of communication with students is an important part of a teacher's job. But I just want to quit the disciplinary committee. Zenitsu wailed. A history teacher who ignored what other people were saying even more than a certain other teacher had toyed with him. A friend had been surprisingly idiotic. Zenitsu's evening wore on. I thought Mr. Rengoku would at least listen to me. At the restaurant Hoi, not too far from Kimetsu Academy, Zenitsu asked for an iced coffee and a dessert to cleanse his palate. He slumped over to rest his head on the table. Mr. Rengoku seemed like the type of person who could master anything, but it turned out that he was a horrible cook. Not only that, but because he produced failure after failure with such innocence and good cheer, Zenitsu hadn't been able to get angry at him. But he had been angry, and his taste buds had gotten all twisted up from too much taste testing. Each attempt at salmon stew with daikon tasted so foul that Zenitsu was certain every bite would be his last. He had no interest in crossing paths with daikon or salmon for a while. Plus, just when I thought we were finally free, we'd get wrung out in Mr. Rengoku's dad's kendo class, he moaned. Come on, now! Mr. Rengoku's dad and Senjuro were really happy to have us join in, so it all worked out, right? Tanjiro, the perfect honors student, replied. Zenitsu glared at Tanjiro bitterly. What about my problem? I'm still stuck on the disciplinary committee. Oh, that. Right. Tanjiro smiled sheepishly. I'm sorry. I forgot. Of course he forgot. It's hell for me again tomorrow morning. Ah, I wish I could just run away. I want to go to a world that doesn't have Tommy that man in it. Zenitsu kept grumbling and whining even after his order came. As Tanjiro tried in vain to console him, the restaurant star attraction, Oi Kenzaki, returned with another academy student, Shinobu Kocho, in tow. Oh my! Tanjiro and Zenitsu, both here, she said. It's good to see you. I'll make some fresh tea right now. Please have a seat, Shinobu. Is. And Mitsu with cream and shiratama dumplings, alright? Yes. Shinobu nodded. Heavy on the brown sugar syrup. High school second year Aoi was in the flower arranging club. High school third year Shinobu belonged to both the pharmacology club and the fencing team. Both girls were beautiful, but Shinobu in particular was so gorgeous that she was constantly fielding offers from talent and modeling agencies. On top of that, her grades were always the best in her class. With her wins at fencing tournaments and other accomplishments, Shinobu was more than just a cute girl. She took the title of Miss Kimetsu every year. On the other hand, there were also strange rumors. Things like how she made dangerous drugs with no taste or smell in pharmacology club, or how she had more than a few teachers essentially under her thumb, or how the Tomioka was one of those teachers. The nickname a very few whispered was Princess of Poison. Naturally, Zenitsu didn't take any of that talk seriously for one simple reason. There's no way someone this pretty could be a bad person. What's the matter? You look blue. I'm here to listen if you want to talk, Shinobu said with concern as she sat down at their table. Zenitsu ogled her indiscreetly. There was no way someone this kind and gentle could be a scary person. Those rumors were just nonsense spread by people who were jealous of her looks and talents. The truth is, he told her about his current struggle. Shinobu listened attentively, nodding every so often. Then she said, I think that Mr. Tomioka has really high hopes for you, Zenitsu. High hopes? He frowned. Shinobu smiled gently. Because Mr. Tomioka is the way he is, a lot of students misunderstand him. They even hate him, so the disciplinary committee is always short-handed. People are constantly leaving it. You've really stuck by Mr. Tomioka, haven't you, Zenitsu? I think, deep down, that makes him so happy. No, but it's not like I stayed because I want to. He'd just been forced to do what the teacher told him to, bound by a collar called violence. Mr. Tomioka actually once said to me, Agamatsu's doing a good job, she told him. Mr. Tomioka said that? Zenitsu stared at Shinobu in disbelief. Perhaps because of her beauty, or perhaps because the Tomioka she spoke of was somehow magnificent, like she was talking about an alter ego. Zenitsu was able to say the name without vomiting. I think that the work of the disciplinary committee is really difficult. But you and the others are out there doing it, keeping the peace at our school. The goddess of the academy narrowed her eyes with a beautiful smile. She gently placed her hand on Zenitsu's. He wasn't sure if it was her shampoo or some fragrance she wore, but she smelled indescribably good. Keep fighting the good fight, Zenitsu. She squeezed his hand. I'm cheering for you most of all. Okawa. Zenitsu was so excited, blood nearly spurted from his nose. You just lead it to old Zenitsu here, he assured her. In his mind, he shouted, joy! Such bliss! And leaped up to the heavens. Aoi came along with more tea and a bowl of emitsu, and she eyed Shinobu and Zenitsu with a knowing look on her face. I don't know if I should mention this, she said in a quiet voice. But you are the 30th person this month, Zenitsu, that Shinobu is cheering for most of all. I think it would be better for you if you were not to take it too seriously. Naturally, however, Zenitsu heard not a word of this. That's great, huh, Zenitsu? You really are a good fit for the disciplinary committee. Good luck. Tanjiro said with a grin, but Zenitsu didn't hear this either. Aoi let out an exasperated sigh. Okay. I'll do it. I'll do it for her. Because I'm the boy Shinobu's cheering for most of all. Zenitsu, with his simple soul, vowed passionately in his heart. Hung around his neck, and his beloved bamboo sword was in hand. Mr. Tomioka. I made an appointment at the salon for Saturday. Zenitsu announced in a loud voice, eyes shining like he had been reborn. I'll dye my hair black and work even harder as a member of the disciplinary committee. I hope I can count on your guidance and support. Dash. Quiet, you! Boo dash? Zenitsu took an impossible hit from Tomioka and went sailing through the air. No shouting at school, the teacher told him. It doesn't make any sense. Zenitsu crumpled to the ground, not even able to shed tears. Mr. Tomioka. The next morning, when Zenitsu spotted Tomioka doing uniform checks in front of the school gates, he raced over to him with a smile on his face. Tomioka was wearing a tracksuit that day. His gym whistle. Later, at lunch. Tanjiro. I want to quit the disciplinary committee already. Zenitsu cried in anguish. I hate it. I mean, Tommy HRK. Zenitsu. Tanjiro sighed, incidentally, a few days later. I stopped you from hemorrhaging committee members you so desperately need, so please give my team more gym space to use next month, okay, Mr. Tomioka? Shinobu reportedly threatened the teacher, or perhaps made a request of him with an extremely innocent look on her face. Hearing this, Zenitsu took to his bed for 3 whole days, but that is a different story. All in all, it was another peaceful day at Kimetsu Academy Junior High and High School, except for one person. End of Demon Slayer, the Flower of Happiness. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe for lots more.